Hello, you lovely cups. It's the Dragon Lord here, back again with another what if scenario for you. Today we are doing what if Izuku actually kept One for All on. Also, we will be skipping to the Hero Killer Stain arc, or as some of you know, Izuku's training with Gran Torino or the Hosu battle. Um, but before I get into it, if you're new here, consider subscribing. It helps me out, and I'm sorry to do it to you, but only 40% of you guys are subscribed. And it would mean a lot to me if you guys could subscribe. I put a lot of time into making these videos, and I want to try and hit 10k before the end of the year. That means 10,000. So if you like my content, or like my what ifs, or just like me in general, it would mean a lot to me if you subbed. Join the Discord if you want to talk to me or my community, and with that out of the way, cue the intro.
Yeah, you better listen. I'm bringing heat, you'll be a fan when I start rapping. Way I'll have your fucking head spinning. I'm known as spit vicious. Release bombs, they go tick tick. Boom, you blown me that head missing. I'm a phenomenon. Stacking cheese like it's Parmesan. 8 different flows, call me Octomom. I'm moving fast like the Autobahn. And I'm independent, so I'm not your fucking starving like it's Ramadan. Sick, twisted, gifted. Can't copy, printed. Can't hold me down. I shape shift, I'm liquid. I killed this beat, I might get convicted. They know how I move.
Izuku was thinking to himself about his quirk. He had been spending quite a bit of time at Gran Torino's house and was trying to learn how to become stronger or how to use his quirk better. After receiving a comment from Gran Torino about the microwave, something hit Izuku. Other people had their quirk on and didn't turn them off like he did. In canon, this leads to the creation of full cal combined with, of course, the letting it flow through his body. Now, in the original story, Izuku thought of turning on his quirk for a duration of time. That is what full caling was. But in this story of events, we will be keeping the quirk on at all times. Not only will this help Izuku gain better control over his quirk, but it also trains him as he would be pushing his body to the maximum it can handle each time, making it possible for him to reach a higher percentage faster. He turned on One for All, keeping it at its current limit, which was 5%. Gran Torino would ask him if he is ready for a fight, but Izuku would decline, asking to get some practice with it first. The older hero would comply and let Izuku be. Izuku would keep his quirk on whilst doing tasks like cleaning, cooking, taking out the trash, stuff like that, pushing his body to its limit constantly. He would do exercises like push-ups and sit-ups whilst keeping One for All on. The exercises were a lot easier, but the strain of having to concentrate on keeping his power limited was getting to him fast. He needed to make One for All, full cal, his basic state, so it wouldn't strain as much, and he wouldn't have to concentrate too much on keeping it limited to 5%. Think of Goku in Super Saiyan Grade 4. He also started trying to mimic Bakugo's movements, going to the alley to jump from wall to wall, like the day prior. It's easier for him since his quirk isn't deactivated, so when he falls, he doesn't really feel anything and only gets a few scrapes. At night, Izuku would mostly sneak out to do this training, but afterwards he would go to sleep and actually deactivate full caling, as he isn't confident in his ability to keep it at a limited percentage in his sleep. We are now on the 3rd day, and Izuku actually being able to use full cal way more smoothly is able to catch up to Gran Torino to some extent, and even able to land a scratch on the elderly hero. They train for the rest of the day, and at 5 p.m. they decide to head out. They're on the train, as in canon, both of them in their hero costumes, as they make their way over to Shinjuku. They're talking whilst the train is passing over Hosu. Izuku makes a remark that they will arrive at night, and Gran Torino explains to him that more villains show up at night. Suddenly, a pro-hero comes flying into the train, making it come to an abrupt stop, as a Nomu-like creature suddenly appears. Gran Torino attacks the Nomu, telling Izuku to stay put, as he takes the monster out of the train. Izuku starts to worry about his friend Tenya Ida, who was doing his work study here. Izuku gets out of the train as he starts running around, as he finds himself in front of a battle between the pro-heroes and the 2 Nomu-like creatures. Izuku starts looking around for Tenya, but can't find him, so he starts to think. He quickly realizes that Tenya came to Hosu to find and hunt down Stain, the hero killer. Izuku leaves the battlefield and searches for Tenya, as he cranks up One for All to 6%, and runs at full speed through the alleys. He quickly finds his friend as Tenya was fighting Stain. This time, however, Izuku sees Stain lick the blood on the katana and sees that it made Tenya paralyzed. Izuku quickly rushed over, kicking the hero killer away and backing up with his friend a bit. Tenya is immobilized, and thus Izuku will have to hold off until help arrives. He sends Todoroki the message as in canon and starts fighting Stain. Stain praises Izuku for his efforts and threatens him that he will kill Tenya if he gets in the way. Izuku, however, decides to protect them. Tenya tries to order Izuku not to get involved since his fight with Stain has nothing to do with him. Izuku responds to Tenya by saying that heroes would not be able to do anything by following Tenya's logic. Izuku proceeds to rush at Stain, actually bringing up his full cowling to 7%, which made Izuku pretty even with the hero killer in terms of speed. The two clash, both not being able to hit each other, and Izuku proceeds to try a little harder, pushing his one for all to 10%. Now this does hurt him, but nothing bone-breaking or anything like that. It just makes Izuku feel a sharp pain, almost a cramp-like feeling throughout his body. Think of the fight with Overhaul where he pushed up his body to 20%. 10% easily lets Izuku outspeed Stain, and the two start fighting, with Stain actually trying and using a lot of his tricks. Eventually, Izuku gets cut by one of Stain's blade as the hero killer immobilizes him. Stain, impressed, decides to spare Izuku. As he's saying this, an ice and fire attack hits him. The hero killer quickly recuperates himself as he sees Todoroki in front of him. The two start fighting, and it's quickly evident that Stain is stronger. However, Todoroki holds him off long enough for Izuku to be able to move again. Stain, knowing he can't fight the both of them, quickly separated them, and before Izuku could react, Stain would cut him and immobilize him again. Izuku apologizes to Todoroki as Tenya proceeds to yell at them. Todoroki would then speak, which made Tenya realize that he's been a fool all along. Todoroki is about to get slashed, but Tenya blocks the blade, using his reciprocal burst to get there quite fast. He then tells Todoroki to freeze his legs, which Todoroki does. The two of them fight Stain while Izuku is still immobilized, and the hero killer is quite impressed by them. They are holding him back and actually giving him a challenge. Stain tries to split them up by throwing a dagger at Shoto, but in that second, Izuku regains his mobility and activates full cowling, this time pushing it all the way up to 10% right off the bat, which hurts him as he didn't ease himself into it like the last time. He rushes at Stain with great speed, whilst Tenya does the same. Izuku lands a powerful blow to Stain's face, which nearly makes him lose consciousness, but before the hero killer can react, Tenya would follow up with a powerful blow to the stomach. Stain would lose consciousness, and Shoto would catch his friend, using his ice. Izuku would need a second to recover as he used full cowling too fast and proceeds to turn it on again, setting it to 5%. The rest still happens as in canon, Izuku getting grabbed by the flying Nomu and Stain saving him, as Stain still makes his speech about the fake heroes and all that. The next day, Izuku, Tenya, and Ida would be in the hospital to make recuperations. They talk about each other's growth, mainly Izuku's and Shoto's, whilst Tenya feels bad about himself as he feels weak. They talk for a bit longer, lifting each other's spirits, as Izuku makes a vow to get stronger over his hurt arm. Tenya does the same, but about his leg, and Todoroki saying he doesn't get it completely, and that he doesn't have an injured body part to swear a vow on. After they do this, the door gets opened, and Gran Torino and a dogman in a suit would come in. They tell them that they will cover up that the kids defeated the hero killer, stuff like that. Izuku finishes his training with Gran Torino and returns to UA. And after a week of training, he would have grown exponentially. At UA, Class 1A would attend their next class, which was Foundational Hero Studies with All Might. All Might says that their next lesson will be a rescue training race through Playground Gamma. The class must race through the construction site and to the area in the middle to meet up with All Might. The class split up into 4 groups of 5 for this training session. The first group would consist of Izuku, Ojiro, Tenya, Mina, and Sero. Before the exercise starts, the class makes a bet on who will win. Both Momo and Kyoka note the fact that Izuku is at a disadvantage because of his quirk, with Bakugo flat out saying he will lose. Tenya and Shoto, however, say he will win. The race begins with Sero initially leading. Izuku would activate One for All and push it up to 10%. The reason why he pushed it up to 10% is because that is kinda his basic right now, Before it was 5%, but after keeping One for All on for a week, only turning it off at night, and letting his body get more used to the power, he was able to make it 10%, pushing it all the way up to 17 if he wanted. Of course, 17 will start hurting him, so he doesn't do so. Izuku at 10% is easily able to catch up to Zero and even surpass him. Izuku would win this race because, unlike in canon, he has greater control of his power and did a lot more training with it. Izuku winning pisses off Bakugo, and seeing Izuku become so much stronger pisses him off even more. After the race ends, All Might commends everybody like in canon and tells Izuku to come visit him after the lesson. We skip to that point and All Might explains to Izuku the origin of One for All, the entire story of the two brothers and all that. Izuku returns after that to the classroom where Aizawa tells Class 1A that they will be going to the forest lodge during the summer break. However, Aizawa warns his students that if any of them fail to pass the end-term test, they will be stuck in remedial school. Another week would pass in which Izuku would train a lot again, even training with his classmates, especially Kirishima and Todoroki. End of term starts, and most of the class succeeds, with some failing the theoretical test. However, they bring in a practical test, where the students will pair up and fight teachers. The teams stay the same and all the battles would happen as in canon. The only one being really different is Bakugo and Izuku versus All Might. Bakugo would also have trained for the week, making his explosion power higher, not wanting to be left behind by Izuku. Izuku, after training with Todoroki and Kirishima, would probably be around 13% of One for All full cowling without much strain, and be able to push it up to 20 to 24% with quite a bit of strain. The fight would start with All Might destroying the city. He would rush at the two, attacking them before they could react. Izuku, who was telling Katsuki that they should run, was struggling to keep the symbol of peace at bay, and Bakugo, whose face got slammed into the ground, would try to break free, using his biggest explosion to get free of All Might's grasp. The two of them get back, but All Might would catch up as he would use a guardrail to pin Izuku to the ground, whilst focusing more on Bakugo. Izuku would quickly break free, however, and Bakugo would be spouting his nonsense of rather losing than giving up, making Izuku punch him in the face and then grab him to run away. They talk in an alley where Izuku yells at Bakugo, the young lad's fighting spirit being relit. He gives Izuku one of his gauntlets and they head back out. All Might quickly found them and they started their fight. Izuku would use Bakugo's gauntlets, so would Bakugo, and this would stun All Might, who quickly broke both gauntlets. Bakugo would then start blasting All Might at full power, telling Izuku to run to the exit, the young hero doing so. However, All Might would catch up and kick Izuku into a bus that was near the exit. Izuku would quickly recover though and start heading to the exit. Bakugo would hold off All Might and then get smashed into the ground as he would lose consciousness. Izuku would see this and turn around to save his childhood friend. All Might, who was panicking, looked over to see Izuku rushing over, as the young hero smiled and said, "Smash!" punching All Might in the face, actually making him fly back a little, then grabbing Bakugo's unconscious body as he would rush to the exit. All Might, having spent too much energy and actually taking a bit of damage from Izuku's blow, would just have to let them go, and thus the two of them made it through the gate. And that is where today's What If will end. If you guys are wondering, a few events will happen as in canon, as they have no reason to change. However, a lot of events will change in the future, and you guys will realize what I mean when we get there. Anyway, if you liked today's part, consider subscribing. And if you haven't already, join the Discord, where you can talk to us. Comment down below what you thought of it. If you have any questions, I will answer them in the comments section. Consider liking it or disliking it, depending on how you like the video. And with that out of the way, my name is the Dragon Lord, and I'm signing out.
Tell me a story.
There was once a pale man with dark hair who was very lonely.
Why was it lonely?
All things must meet this man, so they shunned him.
Did he chase them all?
He took an axe and split himself in two, right down the middle.
So he would always have a friend.
So he would always have